Hello. Hi,
Hey
everyone.
guys.
Hey everyone. Good to see everyone. We're here with the lettering legend that is Stefan Kunz.
Let us know if you can obviously hear and see us in the chat as usual, guys, just so we know that we're all coming through loud and clear here.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's that little delay that we love to see.
There is indeed, and I can see we got a couple of little laggy moments going on with Stefan, which was perfectly fine until we hit live.
Yeah.
And now you become Mr. Roboto, but I think this should work for us. Stefan, can you say something just to check it's coming?
Hey guys, I'm excited to be on this community chat and hanging out with you for the next hour, so we'll have some fun.
Yay.
Sweet. Well, sounds good to me. So even if we're a bit pixelated at points,
yeah, no,
it's going to be value packed. Yeah, Stefan, I'm so excited that you're here. I think this is going to be incredible. We're doing something slightly different today. So we were just saying, instead of it being like a presentation and then Q&A at the end, it's just going to be pretty much an hour of straight Q&A, picking your brain. You are such a legend when it comes to Instagram. You've grown up this tremendous, huge audience. You obviously know what you're doing. So this is like great access for everyone on the call. They should take full advantage. And so definitely get your questions in, guys. I'm just going to be like asking as much as I can, trying to learn as much as I can as well.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a shout out to Gabby. Gabby already got a question in before we even went live, which is amazing. So thank you, Gabby. If you've got any questions, if you think of anything at all, use the ask a question section at the bottom, and myself and Tom will shout them out with Stefan as we go along.
Awesome. But Stefan, do you mind giving a bit of an intro? What are we going to be learning today?
Well, it really depends on what kind of question they ask, but I love to talk anything about creativity, social media, marketing, branding. Like, how do you brand yourself? How do you get like great clients? And how do you like work on branding yourself through Instagram, social media? How you use that platform to actually benefit your business and grow as an artist as well as a business and all that stuff. So I'm in for a ride and see where everyone will take us. I think they have control and the steering power. And so
yeah, this week
on
you guys.
And there's no good or bad questions that they can ask.
Amazing. So I can see a bunch of people still joining the call.
Yeah, too many to shout out this week, I think, actually.
Yeah, we can't shout everyone out by name, but appreciate everyone being here. You guys are awesome, and let's have some fun this week. I think this could be a good one. Shall we kick off with Gabby's question? I think it was such a great one to get started with.
Let's do this.
So Gabby has asked, if you had to start from zero today on social media, what would be the steps that you would take?
So I'm going to take the approach that I'm starting something completely new, nothing lettering related, because there's a difference. Like, I've grown with my skills wherever I'm at right now. So I've already established some knowledge and in-depth things about lettering. But if I would start something new, I would think about like, all right, what kind of value can I bring with whatever I create? So if I'm a coffee shop, I want to think of what kind of posts would people like to see? Like, do they, can I tell them a lot about coffee? Like, bring them the people who work at that coffee shop closer to the people who would be visiting? Can I show them beautiful pictures of food? But the best question to ask yourself is like, how would someone be willing to pay $1 per month to see what I show them? And if you feel like, yes, I'm giving them enough worth of like $1 a month, then you are bringing value and people will start seeing you. But then the next thing, when you've defined what you want to share and what you want to post, is to actually start engaging with other people. So you're a needle in a haystack, and every Instagram account is like, it's lost somewhere. So you're in a big crowd and nobody will see you. The first thing that I would do there would be start to engage with people that would be related or already like similar things that I will be posting about. So again, if I'm a coffee shop, then I'll go to other people's coffee accounts and maybe scroll through their posts and like engage with their followers, or even better, like go through their list of followers and like start to see like, am I seeing like pictures of people posting about coffee shops? And I'm like, ooh, this is a beautiful coffee. Like, where did you find this beautiful shot? Like, this is beautiful latte art. Like giving people, showing them how much you care about them. So that's a really important thing as well, is really engaging and being honest and truthful in that sense. You cannot be somebody who's just like, hey, I'm another coffee shop, come visit me, or something like that. But more of like, oh, I love this coffee shop is amazing, in competition with every other coffee shop. But if you change that approach and be like, oh, this coffee is great, oh, I love James Coffee, oh, I love Pablo and Rusty's, I love these and these and these, they're awesome, like how would you rate their coffee 1 to 10, like I want to know. And as soon as you engage with that, like people will start noticing you. And again, if you've decided on your content and you've chosen like to go a specific direction, people will visit your profile page, will start to be interested in who are you really, and check out your profile and see like, all right, is this someone that I would want to follow or not? Yeah. And then that's the next step. And then it's about like getting traction with that, as well as like taking part of competitions, like hashtag challenges, somewhere where you're gonna get reposted, where people will start sharing your content elsewhere. For example, in the lettering world, there are a lot of amazing challenges. Like my friend Lauren Hahn has an amazing challenge called Humwork. Good Type is like a curating account. Brooke has started doing these. Like Brooke is the one who curates all the content. She has started doing the Good Type Tuesday. So every Tuesday there's a challenge that goes out. Instagram does that as well. They do those weekend hashtag projects. So all of these projects is finding the right projects where you can take part of it, and also see if you can get shared on these accounts, on these curated accounts, on these feature accounts, and start having other people share your account to other ones. And it's kind of like, as soon as you're in the news, as you have like a headline or like you're on the front page, like people will get to know you. And if they are interested, they will check out your website, they will check out your Instagram page and stuff like that. So it's all about getting that visibility. And as soon as you apply all of these things, like you start to gain tractions. And I've seen that with a couple of up and coming lettering artists, like they were at 1,000 and they've been blowing up and going to 5, 6, 7,000. And one of my friends, she's from Germany, from Berlin. Like she started off with like 0, as we all do, but she went in and she just did all these challenges, did pretty much everything, and she's grown now to 40,000 or even 50,000 really fast.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely true. I see a lot of people doing this. We had Sonia from Just Drawing Words on. Yeah. If you know her, she's great. She participates in homework, like every challenge going, 36 days of type, like Good Type Tuesday, Inktober, all these things. Yeah. So that's definitely smart. How do you feel about fan art? Because that's something that I see works super well. There's an artist that makes portraits of celebrities normally out of Rubik's Cubes. If you see them. And so he'll literally like make all the colors fit, and it takes forever. And he puts like, hundreds of these things. And he's been reshared by everyone from Will Smith to The Rock.
It's perfect. I coach someone who does like 3D art. And like he was doing like these figurines, and there were none of them were really specific. But I told him like, like you're creating these figurines from scratch, and you make them look like something, but you could also make them look like the Avengers now, or Game of Thrones, or like things that are popular, like TV characters that are popular. And from all of that, you start to create people or like fan art that people might repost at a later date, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And especially if you're not going for A-listers, maybe you're not so established. I've had a couple of people do fan art for me, and it's like, of course I'm going to share it, because that's not happening every day. That blew my mind. And Sonia was one of those. So I shared that all over my stories and gave her some love, as did Lauren when she did one for Lauren, as did a bunch of people.
That's actually my favorite thing about when we do our birthday event. We often run a competition to design like t-shirts or bags or whatever it is. This year was t-shirts again, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. And but for the Design Cuts birthday event, and a couple of people designed you and put you on a t-shirt. We have
some of them look like horror movie.
We have superhero avatars for everybody on the team, and like that's my favorite part, is getting to share what everyone's done with the rest of our community, because it's relatable. Everyone knows the team, so it was like everyone could like be like, "Oh my god, that's Tom! That looks so funny," and you know, whatever it is. But sharing that with everyone else to then check out.
Yeah, they've been amazing.
Favorite.
Some of them.
Yeah,
and you see, I've seen your reaction is this, oh, look at that, like somebody really thought about me, and like you feel special, and because you feel special, you're more inclined to like, oh, this is amazing, I want to share this with everyone else, like somebody thought that I'm special, and so like it's an easy thing to share about that person again. So it's a great way. The hard part is them to get to see it. So if you're thinking of The Rock or Will Smith or someone like that, like it's harder to reach those people that they will get to see that, because there's a lot more people who will be doing fan art for them. So you have to think about, like, it's the same thing with hashtags. You can try to use the biggest hashtags, and if you're small, like your post will never be seen by a lot of people. But if you use small hashtags like niche things, it's crazy what can happen. And they say the same thing about Reddit. Like if you want to be trending on Reddit, like forget to post that into the main Reddit threads. You have to go into like a sub Reddit, because if it blows up there, then we'll get attention from the other sub, the next sub, and so on till it goes on the trending page, and then suddenly you have like news even is picking up because it's trending somewhere.
Yeah. So everyone in the comments and everyone tuned in live, first of all, everyone go make a fan art for Stefan. He's going to get like 100 tomorrow. And be like, what do I do? But leave a comment in the chat quickly and let us know what kind of creativity you're involved in. Are you an illustrator? Are you a hand letterer? Are you a graphic designer, brand designer, logo designer? Let us know. Stefan, we mentioned there's often like a little 10-second lag in the comments. So let's wait for these to hopefully start coming in. And what I want to do is be able to actually brainstorm and address for specific practices and skills, like content people can make, how they can bring value.
Yeah.
Because I totally hear you on like the coffee shop idea, but I want to get super practical.
Sweet. Well, they can even send us some of their account names, and we can look into those.
Critique.
Tom.
That would be fun.
I'm so excited.
Love a critique. Okay, so Jay said, I'm an illustrator. Hold on, I'm gonna write down here. So we've got Jay, illustrator. Gabby is a logo designer.
Nick, graphic design illustration.
Logo. So yeah, Dave is graphic and logo.
I feel like you're not going to be able to write all of this down.
I'm trying to write it.
What are you doing?
Lettering. Okay.
Just take a picture quickly of it or something.
Yeah, so we got a few. Awesome. So I think there's a good mix here. So if we kick off with, we've got Jay, who's an illustrator.
Yeah.
I presume perhaps digital illustrator. Where would you start there, Stefan, in terms of like, you know, her building an account, putting value, that kind of thing?
All right. So again, bringing value, you're designing images, like you're illustrating something. So it's either going to be a topic, something maybe cute, something like the way you see the world, the way you are inspired of seeing something. And the stronger your message is, I feel like the better you're gonna reach a certain audience. Like the broader your message is, the less impact it has. And for like specific example, like if you want to make it something political, like if you're going into like attack or like ridicule what Trump is doing and like use that as your messaging, like take what he's saying and make funny cartoonish caricatures of that. Like you'll get people who are annoyed or angry at Trump who will love that because they love that message. They will have the same point of view as you do. If you are an illustrator that creates like fun doodles, like the cartoons you'll see in the newspaper, then you have people who like the humor, who like to have like satirical things and stuff like that. That's kind of the message you're bringing. So you're entertaining others with what you're doing.
So Jay, just quickly, can you put a link in the chat to your Instagram just so we can get a bit more context? But yeah, Stefan, I think what you're saying is like, heck no. Okay.
I didn't say I'm struggling to think off the top of my head what Jay posts on her Instagram actually.
Okay,
I probably do.
You don't have to
know,
share, but all right, maybe. Okay, children's books.
Okay, fine.
That's what I wanted to get a feel for. So children's books. Let's run with that then.
Let's run with that. So children's book. So I'm kind of going like I'm thinking. I'm gonna talk the way I think.
Sorry,
all right.
Sorry.
Am I sure?
Do you mind repeating that bit? We're getting the odd lag. It's the gremlins again. But
so what I'm doing is I'm going through my mind and like the way I'm gonna speak the way I think. So what's going through my mind as I'm saying it. So I'm going in first is like, all right, children's books. So it's gonna be illustrations that are appropriate for children, or that are like small stories that are simple but still effective. And they can be, maybe they are fun for children and adults. So one thing that I will start to do is like, all right, can I do either stories that will always develop as we go, and every day I'm gonna share like one frame of that book. So you'll create a story that you have to follow day by day. If that doesn't work, maybe that's too slow. Maybe people will be like, all right, I'm losing track of it because it's too slow. Maybe I'll have to do carousels, like doing like swipe images and doing like a continuous shots. But then there's this part where you're giving value like this, where you're giving them stories that they can enjoy, that they can show their children, that they can either print or whatever. Maybe what you can do, what is also super popular with illustration, is like the entertaining factor of the satisfying view of watching someone illustrate, like drawing these pictures. Maybe you're just drawing, like you're simplifying the way you draw a person, and you're sharing like how they can do it. So there's this teachable thing, like how to draw a person simply. Then there's all the things that you learn through doing the work. So it's still teaching. It's like color theories. It's how you select your brushes, kind of the tools you use, all of that. So there you can concentrate on all the things teachable, and you can still focus on the same thing as like the content you share, the inspiration, the stories, the cuteness factors, and all of that. And that's the audience that you're gonna get, is depending on what you really want to focus on. Like, do you want to have people who follow you because of the teaching of what they will learn? Then the best things, like, and I'm thinking ahead, I'm thinking the products that I'm going to be selling, or the way I might be able to make money or live off of what I'm doing, is I could get book deals. But if I share those stories, like people can support me on Patreon to keep on seeing those stories, or even some longer stories. But also if I'm starting to teach and telling them all the details of how I do things, it's like I'm going to be teaching, and what I can do is like share online courses, like more in-depth online courses, and all that stuff. So depending on what route you want to go, that's kind of how you bring value, and how you decide on the content you're going to share.
I love it. And just to kind of riff off of that, maybe you could do, I follow an account called The Happy Newspaper.
Yeah.
Where they're so sick of the news being really morbid all the time that they only put really happy, amazing stuff that's happening in the world in it. And that's the whole newspaper. And they often have supportive illustrations around that. So it could almost like be that she's documenting cool stuff that's happening around the world, and it becomes like a form of news, but through a kid's book illustration.
See, but that's what I love about what you just said. Like, they got sick of seeing all the bad news. So their message has been like, we want to change that, or I want to change that. I want to only show the good things that are happening in the world. And so I make this. There's an account called like lettering on cookies, like no cookie the news. Like is someone who draws like paintings of what's happening in the news, and draws it on a cookie, like colors it in.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And so that's one idea. You can really be specific on these kind of topics. And like there was this girl that said like Sociality Barbie, that was an account that blew up. It's like she or the person behind the account was sick of everything that's happening with girls posting pictures of them and all using those hipster kinfolk coffee in bed pictures. and she replaced the girl with a Barbie, but used the same captions, and it was so hilarious.
Me and May, like all that kind of stuff.
and it works so fine because you see the value you're getting is something that you agree with. It's seeing something different. It's something. So for 5 minutes in your day, you see that post and you're like, oh, this is hilarious. And you have that joy moment.
Yeah.
And that's the value you're getting from that.
Jay just said, I'll replace Barbie with my cat. I think that would be so popular.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not being funny. Our community would love that for sure because they're huge cat fans.
Mm-hmm.
But I know exactly what you mean. I can't remember the name of the account now, but I follow an illustrator, and I presume it's a girl behind it, and she's illustrating women, but like curvy women with like different body shapes, but like all of the pictures they have like hairy legs and like hairy armpits.
Yeah.
And it's like trying to break from that mold of being a stick insect that looks amazing and perfect in every way. Yeah. And all of like the phrases that she puts with them are like, you know, like swear words or whatever, just like real stuff instead of this picture perfect illustration of, you know, like a Barbie doll or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
And I relate to that massively because I'm like, that's like exactly what the real world is about.
Yeah,
you
people
know?
are sick of like the fake.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's you've said it so beautifully. You relate to that. And that's the audience, the community you want to get is people that relate exactly to what you are sharing. You're not like, you don't need to gain followers who don't agree or relate to whatever you're doing. Like the more you can relate to your audience, or the better your audience can relate to you, the stronger connection you build.
Yeah.
So one of the things you like, stories, Instagram stories is so great. It helps to strengthen those bonds. Like if I share something about like Game of Thrones or like I love Avengers, like everyone that loves lettering, that loves inspirational quotes, but also love Avengers, like suddenly I have a new connection point. And the more connection points you build with people, the stronger this bond will get, the stronger your audience will grow. And all of that helps you to create better bonds, better communities. And that's why the more specific you are, the more of an identity you'll gain, and the clearer your message is going to be. And that's why it's important to really know what you're all about. Like for me, it's always been like, I love to inspire and encourage people, and I do it with letters. So everything that I post will have lettering in it, and will either like the caption or the quote that I'm using mostly has to do with inspiring someone else. And if I like for the last 2 posts that I made, like with the Game of Thrones, somebody wrote in the comment like, seeing you do this motivates me to create something as well. And that again tells exactly the story, or what I'm doing or trying to do is to inspire others to create as well. And hearing that tells me that I'm doing the right job, or I'm doing the best job. Yeah.
I was going to say, whenever we get feedback in as a company, and it's like someone sat in our original meetings deciding our vision and our brand, and it's like they've just told us our mission statement back to us, and it's like, okay, that means we're doing something right. I love that stuff.
Exactly.
I've just seen a couple of questions in the comments about asking questions. If you do have any, just pop them in the ask a question section at the bottom. We'll try our best to get through everything. I appreciate it's probably a super popular chat we're having today, so we will get through as many as we can. And if we can see any other comments coming through the chat, we'll kind of add them in if they fit to what we're talking about at the time. So we'll do our best to squeeze it all in.
It might be quick fire again.
Yeah, like, I think it could be.
So everyone as well, check out on the Honest Designers show, we had Stefan on, we recorded last night, so it should be out in a couple of weeks, I think. But obviously that, I think we went like nearly an hour and a half. It's like, can tell.
Almost 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't knock Lauren home off the top spot, like 2.5 hours, the biggest talker of all time. But yeah, both were like among my favorite episodes. So if someone wants a piece of lettering work, do you show them a bunch of different ideas, or how do you go about giving them examples of a quote they want, said Michelle? So this is more on the client side.
Yeah. So, well, when a client approaches me and they don't have a clear idea of what they want, they are like, oh, we just want you to do it. I usually ask them to go back on my account or on my website or something, like choose something, because that will help me to figure out better what they want, because otherwise I have an idea of how I could do it, but it might not be the best thing that they want. So seeing other things and coming with references helps me a lot to kind of visualize what they want, and makes my life easier as a designer to help them. And it also, like, there's never anyone like you can just create. Like, actually, yes, there's Coca-Cola came and they're like, just use our color palettes, and like, we want you to create what you want. Like, we'll be happy. And for me as a designer, that made me really like doubt myself during the whole process, because the whole time I was like nervous about creating something for Coca-Cola, knowing that it will be posted on their account, it will be shared on Times Square, and like, you have all this, you feel like pressure on your back. But when I showed them, and I was even so unsure and doubted myself, that I created a second piece, because I was like I better have something in my back pocket, like, if they're not happy with that.
Yeah, it's almost too much.
Like, oh, the first one, that was beautiful. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, it's good.
Thank goodness. So before we jump into the other questions coming in, I'd love to keep going. We did illustration for Jay. I think that was really interesting. We had a few logo and brand designers out there. I think Gabby, Dave, some other people. If they're a logo designer,
perfect.
Like, Connor Fowler as well, friend of ours. You know, I see his work all the time. What would your advice?
A logo designer is it's a little bit harder for a logo designer. I say it's a little bit harder, but it's actually not. It's how do you build up a community? How do you get people to be interested in what you do and talk about you? So, for example, what you can do is, hey, I'm going to design a logo for one of my followers every week. So you send in me your name, and I'll create like a logo identity. I'll create your like whatever you want, and it's going to be free work. Like, if you want to use it, you might want to pay for it, but you can also just do it for free. Because one, you're getting practice. Two, a lot of people will be commenting and wanting for you to create a logo. So you'll get that instant engagement of other people. People will talk about that, and you can use it always like, this is my test ground. Like, I can play around, and we will jump out of this normal client relationship where it's you telling me what you want, and I'm just going to deliver exactly what you want. So I'm going to do it for free. So I'm going to design whatever I want, or however I feel to look at it. On YouTube, for example, there are a lot of logo designers who redraw the logos or do logo critiquing and then just rechange it and so on. And it's super popular.
There's Jake Hatchley, a logo designer that I know, and he remade big companies' logos every day for like 100 days.
Yeah.
And that was such a good, like, you know, it gave him consistent content. It really showed his skills off and his way of thinking. People engaged because they resonated with those existing brands. Like,
exactly.
I have to read this out. You got
I was reading it, and my face probably dropped. I was trying to read it from far away.
So Sarah, who's one of your fans in the comments, said Stefan is an incredible inspiration. 3 years ago, he randomly commented on a post of mine. That never happened to me back then. He was a stranger to me, but that comment caused me to be introduced to hand lettering, adding that to her artistic tool belt. And in it, she's found a greater purpose for her art. So thank you for commenting on some account that you don't follow. Just a few words, they had a big impact. So
that's amazing.
That's what you talked about before.
Yeah, right? that is even better than what I like talked about. Like, it's like right now, if I comment on someone picture or someone like they see, oh, this guy has like 300 and something thousand followers, like, whoa, this guy's a big deal. Or even if you've been following me, like, if they've been following me, suddenly it becomes a huge deal. It's like, if I would maybe post and something, and like Elon Musk would reply and he'd be like, oh, I love that stuff that you do. I'd be like, oh, or Casey Neistat or someone. And seeing that is amazing, because that's the impact that words can have, and positive words and inspiration and encouragement. So that's why it's, you see, she started following me, and over the time, like, that thing happened where it's like this bond, and I didn't even know about her that way. makes that story even more special. That you can still have this relationship on one end, and like it's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, just for that specific reason. And so for me, Sarah, thank you so much for saying those kind words, and I'm really excited about that, and glad that you found a deeper meaning and purpose in your art through that. That's amazing.
I love it. So a few other people, what have we got? We have got...
I can't read what you've
I can't read my own writing there.
I'm looking at this notepad like, good luck with that, Tom.
Yeah, I know we had letterers. We kind of covered letterers. I think Stefan with like the challenges and that kind of thing. Anything else letterers out there should be doing?
Yeah, film your processes. Like you can do logos, you can reinvent logos, you can letter like shows, you can letter funny quotes, or even listen to podcasts of like fan art is kind of like listen to podcasts and figure out like kind of quotes that you feel stand out and that you want to letter. Like for me, everything that I letter has to mean something to me, and has to relate with me. So when I see a quote like, so far you've survived 100% of all your worst days, you're doing great. Like when I read that quote on Pinterest, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like this is so true. And as like, well, yeah. And if it has inspired me or like uplifted me, encouraged me, then I feel like, oh, this could be perfect for everyone else. So creating a piece of that, it's like a no-brainer.
I love it. So I will jump into everyone's questions in a sec. We're being very selfish here and just asking our own. But one from me, and I've been debating this a lot with my own community, is whether you're building an audience of the clients that you want, or whether you're building an audience of just fellow designers. And so I think a lot of people are saying, I want to be getting client work, but actually they're not really putting out stuff that attracts clients necessarily. Everyone slips into that thing of kind of like trying to help teach and inspire other designers, even if that isn't where their heart lies. Like for you, it is, and that works because your customers in many senses are fellow designers, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I really recommend that people stop sharing their client work. Like I do share some of my client work, but I only share stuff that I really feel like, oh, this is amazing. I love doing that. Like this is something that I would do over and over again, and this is something that I want to share. I don't just want to share something that I've created because like there's pieces of work, like brand stuff that I've done that I feel like I work for clients and I don't work for my portfolio when I do client work. So that's a really important difference to see. Like if I design for a client, I'm never going to be designing for my portfolio. But with Instagram, I design for myself and for what I feel is what I'm enjoying, is what I feel creatively challenging and amazing. And so the work that I'm putting out on Instagram will be what I love to do, and and in the same way, you're going to get jobs from the stuff that you're sharing about. So like people will see what they see, and that's the kind of jobs that they will ask you for. So the last 2-3 years have been amazing because most of the work, or pretty much everything that I've had to do, has been like fun stuff that I've enjoyed doing anyway, and people just have been asking me for the stuff that they want to see that I do for myself as well. So it's never been really like, it never felt like work.
Yeah,
more like, oh yeah, that stuff is easy for me. Like the guy who redesigned like for 100 days all these logos. This guy, you send him a logo like, hey, can you redo this logo for me? And he's like, man, it's gonna take me like a day, and I can charge you for like 2 weeks, or like what someone else would have to work on 2 weeks, because he has trained and he has improved himself. And so this is why I feel like Instagram is such a great place to invest in, or social media, is because you're training yourself. Like if you're putting out videos on YouTube every second day, then you're training yourself to edit fast, to edit uncomplicated, to be like dedicated on how you organize things, so you know that your shot list is working and that you're efficient. And those people who work hard and fast, those are the ones that will bring out more content and be more efficient. So for me, sometimes I said it yesterday in the Honest Design podcast, but I said, like my main job is actually creating Instagram posts, and my side hustle is everything else. Like the first thing that I'll be focusing on is creating posts for Instagram, and all the client work, all the jobs, the shop, the things that I manage, is everything that's kind of happening on the side. And so that's kind of the big difference. And I can do it on the side because I'm efficient with the work that I do for Instagram, or I've learned to do for Instagram.
Perfect. SJ, do you want to?
Yeah, we're just having a quick scan through the questions there. I also just wanted to shout out Jimbo. Jimbo's just joined the call. He was a guest for us a couple of weeks ago, which you unfortunately missed.
Yeah, I was gutted about that.
But hey,
you,
Jimbo, thanks for joining.
In fact, tons of awesome folk in the comments.
There is, yeah. You guys are being lovely.
Appreciate you tuning in.
So a question that's coming from Gabby, which I actually was thinking about myself. Love the $1 value approach. How do you get people to be engaged and then keep them engaged?
Yeah, because we talked about this last night, Stefan, but your engagement is through the roof. And, both of us agreed vanity metrics, very bad thing, right? It shouldn't just be chasing empty.
But it's a bad thing to look at just numbers and just see numbers. But numbers are an indicator of what you have to work on yourself. Like for me, I'm super competitive. So if I see someone going past me, like I've been doing this with Ian Barnard for such a long time. Like he was ahead of me for the longest time, and I was trying to catch up and try to beat him. And not in the sense of like I'm better than him, not at all. But it's just like, well, if I'm growing, it means that I'm doing something right, and I have to keep that approach. If it's something is slowing down, then I have to either double down or just like re-energize and refocus or change what I'm doing. And to keep people engaged is you have to adapt your whatever you're creating. Great example is any company that's putting out products. If like Apple is creating an iPhone, like as long as they update their iPhone and like improve on it, people will still be interested. If they suddenly like change the whole thing, like you wouldn't recognize it's an iPhone, then people will be like, no, this is, we are like, well, we know Apple and we can kind of trust him, and that would be like me if I changed to illustration from one day to the other. I'm like, I'm bored with what I'm doing, I'm changing to illustration. So you cannot do that transition. But if I only did the same thing over again, it's kind of like I've always had the iPhone 1 or the 5 that I'm always gonna share about the same iPhone. And people will be like, well, it's been like 2 years. I'm not interested anymore. So I'm going to switch to Samsung, or I'm going to unfollow you. And for me, that's always been the key. It's like challenging myself. And I'm glad that I actually like it. I hate it about it myself, but I love it. Or it's a great thing. It's always wanting to see the next step, always trying to hit the next step and trying something new, or being bored with what I've been doing before. So I started dabbling myself into 3D letters. I dabble myself into logos, like right now with the Game of Thrones, the Avengers stuff. I'm dabbling myself into these things to trying out new things and keep the whole feed fresh in that way, so that people will still find something new as they go. And that, I feel like that keeps people engaged and keep the momentum up.
Yeah.
Awesome answer. Did we cover that question? Am I going
that
crazy?
Was the very beginning one. Yeah,
that was
that first
cool.
one.
Okay. Awesome. So just going through them, Stefan. So Bob asked, how do you go about motivating yourself to finish a project if you're committed, but you're just not really feeling it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's a great question, because I'm having that question right now myself.
You said yesterday you weren't feeling very inspired.
It is. I feel right now I'm stuck in that creative block. Mm-hmm. And there are people who say like, well, you shouldn't be drawing when you're not creative or something like that. You just got to see, like, I always like to talk about excuses. Like usually when you're not motivated is like you have an excuse somewhere. Like there are different reasons why you're not motivated. Like you're like, I'm not inspired, but then it's like, well, do you really need inspiration to start creating? Like you can create just something, like start putting your pen on paper and start drawing, and it will come. Like you'll get into the flow and you'll start creating through that. But it doesn't feel like you don't feel comfortable doing just that because you feel like you're just going to be scribbling all along and doodling and nothing really great will come out of it. Often that happens when I'm starting a chalk wall piece is I really like, I have no clue what I'm going to be drawing or how the whole piece will look like, but I start somewhere with one word and then develop something. Same thing with this piece here that you see like in the background. If you look at my Instagram page, I started scribbling it out and then I just started drawing it in white and then kept on going. And as I went, I started figuring out the pieces as I go. So that I'm gonna jump that. And the other thing is like a great excuse is something is like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I hadn't had a good night's sleep, I need to regroup and re-energize, and that's when you see like, all right, you need to focus on your health first. But everything else is like, those are excuses that you should get out of the way. And I'll say like create art, not excuses. And my favorite quote is like, create something today, even if it sucks. Like, even if you don't feel like it will become like your next best thing, like just create it anyway. Like you'll learn something, you'll create something, you've tried something, and you'll develop yourself.
It's better than doing nothing at all, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Very much so.
We have another question that's just come in from, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Sillard.
Well, that's pretty good.
I hope that's correct. I'm sorry if it's not. I'm terrible with this.
We need some easier names. If everyone could just join and be like, my name's Bob and Dave and Lucy.
Or can you just write it how you say it? That would be really helpful.
Because every week we embarrass ourselves, Stefan.
Sorry.
With I'm not blaming them, I'm blaming us with our horrendous pronunciation every single time.
Normally it's you. I'm normally quite good, but
you just don't try. You need me to throw myself to the wolves. But yeah.
So the question is, dear Stefan, what do you think is the best way to develop creativity?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I definitely feel like the best way to develop your creativity is by doing something every day. Like by going forward one step at a time, failing often, trying out things, like keep developing that. Like you're never, like it's a muscle that you have to train. And it's the best way to describe it is really like if you go to the gym, you want to like get stronger and fitter, like you have to waste energy and to like let those muscles like tear and then rebuild and tear and rebuild. And that's how you grow, that's how you get fitter, that's how your body will adapt to all of that. And the more creative you want to get, the more you have to go through that process all over again. And the same way I hate exercising, because you have to like get sweaty and get out of breath and be at this point where you're like, I don't want to go any further. That's the moment like in creativity where you're like, I'm so blocked. I don't know what I want to create. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to solve this problem, but I'm just going to go anyway. Like, because there's no right or wrong. Like there's just a keep going, keep trying, keep doing. And the great thing about Instagram, that's why I feel like Instagram has helped me so much grow my creativity, is because like you have to share something, and usually you have that pressure on yourself of sharing something every day.
Yeah.
Even though you don't really have to, but that pressure helped me so much because I was sharing something, like I did a 100-day creative challenge, and that helped me so much because every day I had like this deadline. I had to post something. It couldn't be perfect because I didn't have a week or two to work on it, but I had just one day and it was manageable. And so I shared something every day, and I told myself, like, I don't want to repeat the same thing over and over again. So everything that I do has to be something new. And looking back now, I can say like, I still am picking out stuff that I created during those 100 days that were so creative, because I just like, I tried to look at everything. Like, how can I use that? How can I use that? Because if you have to be creative for 100 days straight, like you feel like, oh, 100 days, like, yeah, I think I can do that. Like I have 100 ideas, like I have 200 ideas of what I could do. But you start doing those one by one, and after day 6, you realize that you actually have no idea left. Like you've already used up everything, and you've tried everything that you thought about. And then you're left like, all right, what can I do? And then you don't have the luxury anymore of thinking ahead or thinking too far, or overthinking things, because you're like, no, like if I have an idea of using toothpaste for a lettering piece, like I just got to do it. It sounds stupid. Or
have you done that?
I have done that. Like for the longest time, my website's banner was smile written with toothpaste. It's still one of my favorite pieces. Like I've done the weirdest things you can think about.
I love this comment that just came in from Jesse saying, "Stop viewing and start doing is my new motto. Sometimes I get lost down the rabbit hole of looking at other people's work on Instagram. Looking for inspiration on Instagram is fun, but I need to remind myself to break away and work on my own growth. #balance." Mic drop there.
Yeah, I know. I was reading that myself. I actually have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So for me, like I feel like Instagram is so massive at the moment. Like everyone wants to make Instagram successful for themselves, if that's your thing. Like whether it's graphic design or whatever it is that you're doing, fashion blog, whatever. Everyone wants a bit of Instagram these days, right? Because it's like massive. But something that I personally have struggled with is making it work, but not just being another person.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you are doing something that hundreds of thousands of people are doing.
Can we give context on this?
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah,
so
take it away.
So I have my own Instagram for like makeup, which some of the people in the chat I know will be like, we haven't seen you post in ages, because I just hit a brick wall with it. Like I saw myself getting lost in a sea of noise, like needle in a haystack. It was just the same thing that everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And I just got so disheartened that I just stopped posting completely because I was like, this is nothing different. It's never going to go anywhere. And I kind of just gave up. And I feel like everyone wants to make it work. So how do you be that different person if it's something that everyone else is already doing?
Stefan, I want to co-answer this if you don't mind, but please jump in first.
No, you can start ahead. I'm still, I'm forming my opinion, but yeah.
I knew they'd start in the comments. We miss you, SJ. I know.
Okay, so I think what you're talking about, it's so common, and it pains me to see it, because most things, whether it's an Instagram account, I think the same stats apply for podcasts.
YouTube.
People start it, and within about, I think it's like 2 months.
Yeah.
That is the point where it's like it kind of falls apart, and the consistency.
And because you don't want to get, it's not, it shouldn't be about the numbers, and you don't.
That's it. But you're making it about that.
But you feel like you have to.
Yeah. So if
you don't have the numbers, then you're not going to succeed.
Exactly. Yeah. You started it where it was like, I love makeup. I like putting these looks out, and then it completely changed, and it was a different conversation. And when you talked to me, it was very much like, but there's so much noise. I'm looking at what everyone else is doing, and I'm not going to stand out enough, and comparison syndrome and all that kind of stuff. And it needs to be about the love of the game and the journey forever. And when you look at the people who are huge doing it, yes, they might be monitoring their stats, but their fundamental purpose behind it is because they love it. Yeah. Like Jay Blissey, big makeup influencer on Instagram who we chat with. She literally does it because she loves it. Mm-hmm. She loves doing it every day. Like it's her downtime. She'd rather be doing that than watching Netflix or whatever, because it's fun for her. And so the likes are like a happy side effect of that. What do you think, Stefan?
Yeah, I can go even further. It's like, what you're talking about is like you've been looking at the return on what you've been getting from posting on Instagram. You always want to see a return on anything you do. Yeah, either it brings you joy. Yeah, like creating makeup, like doing these things, like either it brings you joy. That's the natural thing. Yeah. Then you can just do it over and over again. Either it gives you likes, comments, and engagement, like more followers. Then that's kind of the return you're expecting or wanting. And you hit that brick wall when you feel like you're not getting the return that you've expected to. And the same thing happens in business. It happens in a lot of things that way, that you are like I'm not getting the return on something. And so I don't feel fair, or I don't feel like it's working out for me. And so they're like, one of those things that happen afterwards is you stop with that. You hit the brick wall. It's not necessarily the brick wall that you expected to, but you're just like, oh, well, I'm not getting any further. And the sad fact that happens a lot, and it happens in many things, it happens to me as well, is like you start lying to yourself. you start lying to yourself. You're like, oh, I'm just like everyone else. Like, I'm not going to stand out. I'm not going to, like, there's nothing going to change about that. And I just looked today at like the guy who runs the fastest marathons. And he had a quote on top of his bed and said, like, from the author that I think wrote his biography, he said, if you want to be successful, don't lie to yourself. Never lie to yourself, which is a brilliant thing, because right now I'm in this crisis. I'm just going to over dramatize it, but I'm in this thing where I don't know what I want to dream about anymore. I don't know what I'm passionate about or what I really like. Like I'm doing lettering. Man, I don't know what the next thing is or what I'm really passionate about getting up in the morning and fighting for this and achieving that. And the last couple of days, I've been trying to figure out, like, what have been my dreams? Like, what are the things that I'm dreaming about that I want to see done? And probably because a lot of the things that I dreamt of earlier, previously when I was younger, I said no to it, or either lied to myself and said, like, no, I'm not able to do this, or no, this is not my comfort zone, or no, this is not something that I'm particularly gifted at. So you see, like, I have this too, and we all have this in some way or another, where we lie to ourselves and we don't see the return on what we're getting. Because if I told you right now, you're saying, like, you know what, you could actually be the most effective, the most influential makeup artist out there, because yes, you can be, anyone can be that. And if you just invest into that, like if you just try to find that joy that you have for makeup artists, for doing makeup, then try to go that. Like if that's what brings you joy, then just do it. And believe that you can achieve 1 million followers on Instagram. Like it has been done before. You can even achieve like 10 millions if you want it. And that's the truth, because it's possible. Yeah. And so that, if hopefully that will change your mind of seeing, like, you know what, actually I can do it. With lettering, I felt like if you would tell me back then, like, that I would reach like up to 400,000, I was like, nah, I don't believe that. But when the day that I saw, and I told that also in the podcast, the day that I saw that if the growth trend kept on going, and I had like an Excel sheet where just at the beginning of the year, I saw that I was gaining about 200 new followers a day. And I scaled it down all the way to the end of the year. What would happen at the end of the year if that trend kept going? And I saw 100,000. So suddenly in my mind, I felt like reaching 100,000, it's possible. Mm. And that changed my mind.
But and I think that's great, but to push back for a second, that's kind of building on momentum. And obviously for everyone tuning in, substitute the word makeup for logo design.
I know, yeah. That's why I didn't say it. This is not really that relevant. But
no, it is. It's completely relevant. So substitute it with whatever creative practice you're involved in. But if you're not able to do that, let's say you're feeling very plateaued, or it's super early days, and you can't extrapolate out some kind of monumental growth, and you're filled with like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, it feels like it's never going to go anywhere. How do you stick at it?
Sorry, Angela. No, Tom, I know you love makeup. Sorry.
A contour on fleek today, guys. What can I say?
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, that was it really. Like, how do you get through that kind of tough time?
Well, again, the same thing. It's like, if you can see something ahead, like you can believe it. And the thing is, really, a lot of people will think too much of what they can achieve in 1 year. Like they will overreach, but they will always under reach, or I'm not sure how the quote goes along, but like you'll never you won't see how much you can actually do in a lifetime, but you always overthink what you can do in a year. Mm-hmm. And that's why if you feel like, well, I'm getting like just 10 followers a day, but then count that up to the end of the year, and then just like you see like, oh, actually that's a lot. Like that can be a goal, and I can try doing this. And that way, that was for me that impressive, because I would have never thought of 100,000 if I hadn't just like scaled it down and see like at 30,000, I was like, wow, I can actually do that if that keeps going. And I overreached this. So it's like setting up a goal, a milestone that you can do and that you can see. And then setting like small goals, small achievements, small things. And that's what I talk also about in my social media class, is like setting the right type of goals and the right type of milestones. And for me, it's always been like Ian Bernard was someone that I wanted to pass.
That's so funny.
Oh, sweet Ian Bernard. So many people are gunning for him. We talk about this all the time with Dustin, where they were like,
he's quite unaware of it as well, though. Like, I feel like he's just like,
he's just there like being pleasant and courteous to people, and everyone's like, I will tear you down, Ian.
No, it was never like that, but it's like pass him, and that's a movable goal. So if I don't do anything, then he'll move far ahead. But the 100,000 will never change. So so if you want to have something that motivates you, is like pick a friend that has a little bit more than you, that is moving a little bit faster than you, and like set him like the same way when you run. If you have someone in front of you, then like I'm the competitive type. I will try to race that person, like be ahead of them, even if they're running too fast.
Are you a believer in that classic saying where it's like you can build the biggest building in town either by like demolishing the buildings around you or by building the biggest building in town and destroying Ian Barnard in the process? I think that's how the saying goes.
Neither the one or the other. No, I believe like competitiveness. Well, if you see it like that, like if I see like that, if I grow, then everyone else has to either fall or have less. But in the day and age of YouTube and Instagram, like we should actually help each other. Like we should cross promote. We should work together on building each other's platforms, because the more we help each other, the more we build each other up.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're in a challenge, you don't want to help the other person because you're trying to gain the momentum. But in the end, both of you gain if you play off each other. So 100%. For me, if I share Ian's post, like it's not about like it's more about helping him and he'll help me, and it goes back and forth.
Yeah,
you guys are a perfect example of that as well. And for the record, we love Ian. Very good.
Probably people saying he's too quiet on the podcast. Maybe I have to tell him to speak.
Yeah, we do. We need to. Everyone wants to hear more from Ian. His genius knowledge bombs.
It's because his work speaks 1,000 words.
Exactly. So, Stefan, have you? I don't want to monopolize your time. Have you got like 5 minutes?
I have so many minutes that you like as much as you need.
Don't tell him that. He'll be here all night.
I really do have 5 minutes. I've got to run to my brother-in-law's 30th birthday. But this is really, really good stuff. So in order to cram as much as we can in, forget the ask a question bit below the video. Use the actual main comment thread, guys. Stefan, I appreciate it's difficult with some of these questions. Do you mind trying to give like a quick fire, like 1 sentence answer, and we just smash through as many as we can?
This is going to cause mayhem in the comments.
Yeah, this is going to test our powers of concision.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for the delay.
Take it away, guys. If you want to
get those questions in, we've got 5 minutes. Stefan's going to tear through as many as possible because he's
just
a G.
Don't type too quickly, otherwise you won't be able to read them.
This is where nothing comes through and it's really awkward. Oh no. Yes, it's
a moment of waiting where everyone takes time to type in the perfect question.
We need the little dots where it says so and so's typing or whatever.
We need like elevator music, and we just
dun, 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 dun. I always wanted to do this thing where you go into a elevator and you have like a whole orchestra band that's playing, like you're just cramming yourself into like, and then you have like the three band people like playing.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, the speaker went out, so we had to replace that.
A couple of people say when we put them under pressure, it makes their minds go blank. It's terrible. They're spell checking.
I think we had time to spell check something.
I know we don't. Come on, we got like 4 minutes left now, guys.
I mean, it can be fun things like I'll go for it. Stefan, what's your favorite food?
Ooh, probably Italian, but like Thai, everything. I love food. That's basically my answer.
Good choice.
I asked a question about if he plans.
I did see that,
do you plan?
Actually.
Sorry, we missed it, Angela. Do you plan or schedule your Instagram feed, or do you?
Because it all looks very beautiful to look at.
Not at all.
That's right. We're gonna have to one sentence.
Yeah.
Because they're all coming in now.
I try not to do the same thing over and over again, but I don't plan anything.
Okay, awesome. Will the half-baked challenge return? Luthien says.
I am thinking about it. It's been a tough couple of months, but I'm thinking about it.
Okay,
Awesome.
Angela said, can you dance? Now or in general? I'm not sure.
I won't dance now. I need some music, but I love to dance. If you follow my Instagram stories, you'll see sometimes like that I do these work and dance challenges.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have a crazy question, Tom?
I don't know. What's one tip for my Instagram, if you've ever seen it? Teaching advice on business and that kind of stuff.
Well, the videos you're doing, like I just saw that video, but the videos you're doing are amazing, but just add some subtitles and people will can read it without actually having the
No.
People will be looking at work and getting in trouble because they'll be like, who's that man talking?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I do quite often do them. That was more like on the fly because we just got done talking. I was like, I need to share this. Amazing. Stefan, you've been the best. Thank you for bringing so much knowledge.
I've learned so much. Thank you.
So we're going to go do a makeup channel together, right?
The best.
Teach me how to put eyelashes on.
Exactly. No, that was so good. And yeah, everyone in the comments, give it up for Stefan.
Oh, look at that.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, you guys were great today. We appreciate you. And yeah, definitely tune in next week. But I mean, I think everyone pretty much already knows you, but like click on the green button below the video and not only go follow Stefan if you don't, but go show some love, comment on his recent posts, get engaged, DM him, do some fan art.
Oh, and if you take anything away from today and you like start applying it to your work and stuff, tag us up so we can see that you learned it on one of these calls, and let us show you some love.
Amazing.
As well.
100%. And actually, Stefan, I know some of our most popular stuff that we've ever released is like the grid and letter builder. So I might link that up for people as well because people love it.
Amazing.
So do you mind giving like a bit of context just about those for people who might not be familiar?
So the letter and grid builder are two tools. Like the grid builder is to help you with composition, to create amazing and easy composition. And the letter builder is actually like it's every letter in one grid that you can just draw from. So if you check out my Instagram, you'll see how I use them to draw like the Avengers logo or Game of Thrones logo. And it's like, it's lettering simplified, easy for you to draw. It's like following a line and not like having to free draw. Like an S is one of the most complicated letters to draw. So those two tools help you with your lettering, make it more consistent, make it more beautiful and stylized. And it's a tool that I use pretty much every time that I draw. And so, yeah, it's one of the tools we created to help ourselves, but in the process, we figured that a lot of other people are going to be like, it's going to be helpful. And we're working on a script letter brush. So that's something that's coming in the future.
Exclusive.
Yeah, I've never seen products get like such consistent, amazing feedback.
Yeah.
They're just genius
every time we
concept.
talk about it, everyone's like, I've got that. I love it.
So yeah, if you click the green button below this video, unfortunately, it goes to Ian's store because Stefan, you don't have like an official store with us right now, but it's a collaborative.
No, we have a split 50-50, so it's all good. It doesn't matter where it goes.
Exactly. So yeah, go click through. They're the two ones right at the top of Ian's store because they're the most popular always. But go check them out. And Ian and Stefan killed it with those products. They're like a must for any letterer. Cool. Stefan, thanks again for jumping on.
Thank you so much. It's been
really
a pleasure.
appreciate
It's
it.
lovely to meet you.
You were awesome. And yeah, I look forward to catching up soon, mate.
And we'll see everyone same time next week.
All right. See you guys next week. If you haven't as well, go hit Design Cuts up the top, subscribe. You'll get notified next week when we go live with another amazing guest. But Stefan, we'll see you soon, buddy.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.